Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Success Factors for Driving Long-Term Adoption of Innovation Performance Initiatives. My name is Tina Lyons and I am the Industry Marketing Manager here at Sopheon. I will be your host throughout today's session and I thank you for taking the time to join us today. Today Mike will walk you through the discipline of innovation and discuss how assessing the innovation maturity of your organization can help map your journey towards driving innovation performance. Finally, an often overlooked step, we'll discuss some of the change management approaches to help support long-term adoption of successful innovation performance initiatives. And now, due to a conflict, we did have a change in presenter for today's session, but I know you'll really enjoy our speaker, Mike Tulaney. He joins us fresh off a trip to Russia, working with one of our global clients as they work to expand their innovation processes and help build adoption globally. With his extensive experience in new product development across both the automotive and alternative energy industries, among others, Mike advises global companies on next-generation methodology to develop and execute robust innovation programs. Mike is a certified new product development professional, and he's an active member of the Rocky Mountain chapter of the PDMA. Mike, I'm really looking forward to your session today, so let's go ahead and get started.
Good morning and good afternoon to some joining us. My name is Mike Tulaney. I'm an innovation consultant here at Sopheon, and the topic of today's webinar is what are the success factors that we have seen as a vendor in the space for a long time that successful companies have used to drive long-term adoption for their innovation performance initiatives. Okay, so as a definition, innovation is a business discipline, and it's one that is necessarily high risk and complex. And by that, we understand that innovation typically engages almost every major function within a company, right? Now, driving initiatives to improve innovation are likewise complex. They tend to be high profile. They tend to have high visibility, often involving new tools, new processes, even new governance. And again, it's going to require the commitment from your entire organization to really improve innovation as a core discipline. So these efforts should not be taken lightly, and anyone looking to lead such an effort should really be driving towards long-term adoption, not short-term wins. So we have found in our years of doing this that there are several success factors, and a few being key, that typically drive the long-term adoption of innovation performance for our clients and in general. Those being, number one, planning the journey. That is to have an overarching plan in mind to step through your initiative, not just in one push, but to make this potentially a multi-generational effort so that we never take off, I would say, more than the organization can commit. Point two, we found that having discrete, what we call deployment roles, is critical because having specific people in specific jobs helps to make sure that trust is built and that there's a continuation of what is initially launched as maybe a new tool or a new process, but that works itself through the organization. And finally, point three, that this change, typically a large-scale corporate change, needs to be managed. It can't be seen as some ad hoc activity. And there are ways to manage change that we find that are extremely helpful, not just for the short-term success, but for the long-term success of the organization. Okay, so point one, planning the journey. We're going to start suggesting that your plan should start with assessing the maturity of your innovation program. That is, understanding your baseline conditions. What breadth of innovation disciplines do you currently engage or would you look to have? And what depth of adoption do you currently have or would you consider your future state? So against those two dimensions, where are we now and where do we want to go? And also, we want to develop this work in phases. Right? So which disciplines are improved in the first phase, different than what we're going to tackle in 2 or 3 generations to come? Which groups, which functional groups, which business units maybe, are going to be part of the initial stage, or the initial phase? and which would be maybe brought in on later time. When is typically very important, but most important is why. Right? We're going to talk about this. When communicating to a large organization why they need to engage certain efforts, why they need to change the way they do things, this is really the opportunity for the team in charge of driving this initiative to build trust. As we'll see in a few slides, the how, the mechanics of the operation, don't necessarily matter as much once you've convinced people of the why. And finally, as just a caveat, certainly look to not bite off more than your organization can chew at any one time, because again, these tend to be complex, high risk, and high visibility efforts. All right, so what do you mean by innovation disciplines? The framework I have shown here is how Sopheon considers innovation. We've got two dimensions, a near-term focus and a long-term focus, running across, let's say, the x-axis. And in the y, we have disciplines that are either strategic or more the execution or the operational. And through these dimensions, we've planned 4 key disciplines.